Greetings, this is Zariyah from the Orion civilization. We are so pleased that you have gathered here today to hear our brief transmission and then to offer your questions. Today we would like to follow on from themes that we have previously shared in relation to integrating your shadow self. And this theme is somewhat more confronting, perhaps. We would like to discuss two of the primary wounds that have affected the human psyche throughout many civilization, cultures, and timelines. And there is a genesis to these wounds that may be interesting to know and that may alleviate the burden of carrying them somewhat. These wounds we would describe as the wounds of abandonment and the wounds of mortality. The wound of abandonment stretches very far back on all timelines into the genesis of the Homo sapien. Through other transmissions, we have been sharing the various stories of the upgrade of the normal hominid to the more advanced Homo sapien through the intervention of the Anunnaki species into the DNA of the hominid. This process of intervention meant that Homo sapiens were more capable of interacting with the Anunnaki species and various ET representatives in their lives on Earth. Many of the ascended masters, yogis, messiahs, prophets, and great beings on your planet are representative of those Anunnaki species and some extraterrestrial / Homo sapien beings. As you worked with these beings, as they walked in various cultures on various timelines alongside you in your collective histories, you became accustomed to having face-to-face interaction with these beings. You became accustomed to having a reflection of your highest evolved self that you could use as a mirror to progress your advancement. These interactions have been for various human groups thrilling and exciting because it has opened for you possibilities of who you are becoming and very exciting adventures. However, on all timelines, there did come a point where the Anunnaki species needed to retract their presence from Earth. As they retracted their presence from Earth, it was like parents leaving their children in a way, in a manner of speaking. Although they did not leave entirely, they did withdraw their physical presence. That was to, as you might think of the metaphor, have their children commence their adulthood and their responsibility for their life journey and its unfolding. However, on this leaving, a great wound of abandonment opened up in the heart of humanity. There have been multiple and very beautiful efforts to soothe that wound over many millennia and across civilizations. And the attempt to soothe that wound has appeared across your planet in the form of religions, in the form of worship. Your Anunnaki brethren, you began to describe as gods, gods who have left and gods that will return. In almost every religious story, there is the story of the second coming, of the return of the species, the godlike deities that have left your planet. In almost every story that has a religious basis, they have gone to the heavens, they have gone to the stars, they have ascended, and they will one day return to Earth. That has been the story that has soothed that wound of abandonment for many millennia. But we would like to share with you that you have never been abandoned, and that these Anunnaki factions and creatures who walked with you still walk with you, and they were never gods or deities. They were examples of beings you interacted with and beings you could use as a guide in your own upgrading. There is no abandonment of humanity by Source. Humanity is a reflection and a part of Source. And it is time to heal that wound. Of course, when you do make contact, there will be a further deepening in that healing of the wound of abandonment. And that is what is meant by the description of the second coming, the reintroduction of Homo sapien to extraterrestrial contact so that Homo sapiens can continue on their path to becoming Homo galacticus. How exciting. The second wound that is often felt by humans as a preoccupation of much of their life is the wound of mortality. And this couples with the wound of abandonment. Certainly, the fear of death amongst human beings on your planet is their primary fear. And this is a fear because human beings feel doubts about the continuation of their energetic form. They feel that their primary entity, their primary incarnation is in this physical form on this timeline, and we tell you it is not so. Your primary and ongoing and ever continuing, ever expanding identity is that of your highest self. And that is from whence you have come and from who you will be re-emerged into. You do continue. There is no death, there is only transformation. And you can see this, you have examples of this all through your life story. We understand that the 2-year-old you no longer exists, but you still exist. The 15-year-old you no longer exists, but you still exist. And the final transition from whatever age you into non-physical means that whatever age you reach does not any longer exist, but you still exist. And therefore, the wound of mortality is one that most human beings experience healing from, ironically, when they transition. However, we would like you to understand that you can heal that wound while you are still in physical by looking out for the aspects of your life that are non-physical that you know are real. For example, you might look at the concept of love. There is no physical, material component to love, but you know it is real. You might look at the concept of laughter. It is very difficult to put laughter on the table and wrap it up, but you know that it is real. And we would also remind you that the great teachers and yogis on your planet, such as Yeshua, also felt the fear of these wounds of humanity. You will remember Yeshua, upon facing his transition on the cross, cried out, "My Father, why have you abandoned me?" And it was in that moment of feeling abandonment, right before his transition, that he realized through his transition that he was always going to be an eternal spirit as he reconnected with Source, never abandoned, but ongoing for all time. Therefore, do not beat yourself up for having these wounds. They are very normal and they have been very instructive in your process of growth. It is from these wounds that you have evolved, that you have pushed forward, that you have sought to connect with non-physical forms, with beings outside of yourself. It is that that has driven you to evolve your vibration to such a degree that you are approaching the vibration of consciousness. Well done. We hope this message will help soothe some of your anxieties around these deep wounds as you heal them towards contact. And we ask if you have any questions.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So in the physical world, we have wounds, we have sad moment, we have happy moment. So it's like a roller coaster. What about in the non-physical world? Is it always rainbows and butterflies, always happy and laugh?
It is not that there is only good feeling emotions in non-physical. What you do have is more of a balance on the spectrum in non-physical. Part of what you came to learn as an incarnation on Earth was the spectrum, the nuance, the quintessential essence of the whole emotional scale. Everything from abject despair to sheer elation and all of the emotions in between. It is like a piano. And once you play it all across the scale and you use all of the keys, you can create a masterpiece of work over the course of your life. However, if you did not have the wounds of abandonment and mortality, you would not play the full spectrum of the piano. If you can imagine in non-physical, all energies understand that they are eternal. All energies understand that they are a reflection of and a part of Source. And therefore, the more extreme emotions on the negative end of the scale are hard to reach. It is hard to feel despair when you understand you are God. And therefore, the Earth project, which has been set up so perfectly, is to really explore the emotional scale and to really have you understand how to access those emotional extremities and from then learn compassion. Once you have understood what it is to be despairing, to be isolated, to feel abandoned, to feel humiliated, it is very difficult for you to watch somebody else go through those conditions and not feel compassion. And in that way, your heart has swollen to take in more energy and more experiences and share more with Source in a reflection of Source for itself. How extraordinary. Therefore, we do not encourage you to look forward to a time where you do not have emotions. There will be, when you transition into non-physical, that all-encompassing balance, which creates within you that stable knowing that you are Source. However, you are on Earth and you are here to explore all of the frequencies that you are capable of exploring on the emotional scale here, now. Don't squander the opportunity by wanting to feel nothing. Does that help?
Yes. And do we learn more in the non-physical world or in the physical world?
In terms of emotions, you learn more in the physical world because of the intensity. You will notice when you have emotions, it is not just the energetic experience, it is the physical experience. Everybody, reflect on a time in your life where you have felt pure rage. As you focus on that moment, you can feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up, the blood flood to your head. You can feel your palms get clammy and your whole body temperature rise. It's a physical experience. And if you can remember another time in your life where you have felt passionately in love, you can feel the butterflies whirling in your stomach and the light-headed good humor that never goes away, the tingling sensation on your fingers and the inner smile that radiates out of you constantly. That is a physical as well as an emotional experience. So in that respect, you embody the emotions and they become part of your physicality, which is an extraordinary privilege of being human. In non-physical, the intensity of the emotions is energetic. It does not have that physical component. And therefore, you feel them in perhaps what we would describe as a calmer way. Does that explain it for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
So, hello, Zariyah. I would like to ask in the same lines. In India right now, there's a great wave going on of a Ram temple coming up after almost 700 years of fighting with governments and the Mughals and all the history behind it. I want to know something about Lord Ram and his ancestry from your side.
Yes, we are understanding that the warrior archetype in this sense is rising again to the surface. And we would describe this warrior archetype as the description initially found in types of gods like Yahweh that represented a type of rageful justice. This is something that is now in evolution, and Lord Ram is bringing back this energy in order to transform and transmute it. You have seen the rise of that warrior-like, warlike energy on your planet over the last century in all corners of your planet, in all different forms, be they forms that are associated with ancient traditions, practices, and religions, or be they forms associated with modern technology and a war industry. However, as these come up, they are coming up for transformation. On your planet, you have learned as much as you can in terms of the emotional spectrum from war that it is possible to learn. And so as this wave comes up again, we would encourage you to transmute the wave if it is moving through you. How do you transform what is a warrior-like energy into the framework of the new earth? Because we tell you, even though there are many noble narratives associated with a warrior-like energy, that archetype is fading. And you can observe as these waves move across your culture that there is an embodiment of that energy as it moves through. In the same way we have described an individual feeling something like love or rage, you can feel a wave of uprising, a wave of resistance, a wave of wanting to cleanse something out of the system. And we would say when that wave comes through, if it comes through you as it is moving through the collective, to focus on transmuting that wave out, because that is the time that it needs to leave both you and the collective. If you are able to transmute that vibration, then you have really learned how to integrate dark and light. You have really learned how to integrate the polarities on your planet. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And also I would like to know, so like since they are depicted in blue over here in most of the pictures shown over here, so was Ram from the Anunnaki heritage?
Yes, of course, there are multiple evidences of that blue-tinged skin on different groups on your planet that does represent the interaction and the upgrading of DNA from the hominid to the Homo sapien by Anunnaki factions on your planet. And we will say to you that the Anunnaki factions, represented often by the Elohim, were different and did have different interactions with various hominoids on your planet. Some of them who represented the blue form are from the region that you are discussing and the lineage that you are discussing. There are other versions that have very dark skin, almost a blue-black. There are other versions that have a fairer skin and a red. There are multiple versions. In fact, every community of Homo sapiens that as you recognize them, that now have been engaged with by the Anunnaki throughout history. That is why the human wound of abandonment and fear of mortality is so common. If you had not been interfered with or engaged with by the Anunnaki, you would be Sasquatch. Does this make sense?
So how come we don't have blue skin right now?
As you continue to evolve according to your conditions and your environment, everybody changes. You can see this even with your continual upgrades and your continual interactions with each other as you move into 2024, 5, 6, 7, 8. The appearance of the human species is constantly changing. And according to the ways you have adapted to your environments, you have also had cause to change physically in terms of coloring, in terms of stature, in terms of capabilities, generally speaking. You will note that if you look at even images from other timelines, 100, 200, 300 years ago, there is a energy that you can discern in the skin, perhaps in the eyes, that is slightly duller. You are all vibrating at an extremely high level. And if you could see how radiant you were compared with people on other timelines in the quote unquote past, you are glowing like a bulb of light in a dark room. You are going to continue to change. You may even notice very incrementally in your life changes in your eating patterns and preferences that are in response to physiological changes that are happening, that are in response to changes in your DNA. As every generation is born, you might notice how they are physically different. Look, they are taller. Look, they are stronger. Look, they are shorter. Look, they are wider. This is every generation's interpretation of what the physiology should be for the Homo sapien moving forward. It really is a smorgasbord of inputs that goes into making every individual human being, and you all look so different. And that is indeed the great richness of the species on your planet. Often you will hear of extraterrestrial species, in particular the greys, all looking the same. How boring.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Is there any further question?
I don't have anything in particular, but I was wondering if you or someone on your end might have a message for me, please.
One moment. Yes, Ray, we are seeing a flooding of incarnations coming in and influencing this lifetime. We have 83 counterparts at the moment joining this conversation. The 83 counterparts are in various complex and extraordinary life experiences. Many of them, as we have told you before, are to do with archives and libraries, are to do with the preservation of knowledge, wisdom keepers, transcribers. We are having recollections of ancient Judea. We are having recollections of working with the Akashic records. In particular, we are having recollections of libraries of Alexandria, even in times when the library was being deconstructed and there was a struggle to make secret and preserve the knowledge. There is counterparts that you have that are working on that has given you your drive and many, many clues in your life to where is the key to secret knowledges. This creates a great tapestry of the mage and the teacher, if you will. These have been your primary counterpart interactions in furthering that cause and in preserving knowledge such that it can be re-unpacked as we expand into the new earth. You have that knowledge in physical representation around you in terms of books and transcriptions and so on and so forth. But the most important part is that you have inside you a library of records that has been compiled by various counterpoints, that as you upgrade your vibration and DNA, you will have access to at will. Oh, how exciting. Does that help?
Exciting indeed. Thank you very, very much, Zariyah.
You are so welcome. Is there any further questions?
Yes, I do. I'd like to connect to my guardian angel, please, and I would like to receive advice for the next few months regarding work.
Yes. Hello. Firstly, we would like to commend you on a subject different from work, in that your interactions with your father have been very well received by him and heartwarming for us.
Thank you.
In terms of work, we would like to share with you that you are not alone in this struggle of the complexity of work relations as we move through this transition, as humanity moves through this transition. In particular, you are expanding in terms of recognition of your capabilities and recognition of what really lights your fire, so to speak. And in this expansion, work becomes a tight box that you need to pack yourself into every day. And it operates as somewhat of a vibrational diminisher, if you understand our meaning. You find yourself caught up in relationships and interactions with people that you really feel resistant to, as you sense that they don't serve you. We would encourage you to take a breath and recognize that what is in work situations at this moment does have a potential to serve you if you are able to recognize that there is transformation that can take place in you through the vehicle of the frustration of this situation. It is not for no reason that you have generated these interactions in that space. And it is not going to persist for a very long time, but it will persist for a small time longer. In fact, it will persist until such a time that you have understood how it serves you to be in that situation, and then you can. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. And also I'd like advice on my physical fitness for the next few months as well.
Yes. We are scanning your physicality and we see that there is a great foundation of strength and there is a great foundation of knowledge about your physical form. However, there is also an undergirding energy of exhaustion. We would recommend, although we know that sometimes physical advice is difficult to implement, however, we would recommend that you allow yourself a time of repose. That doesn't mean that you cease physical activity, but it means that you listen carefully into your body and operate gently and calmly around your body. The time for pushing forward very strongly is perhaps not at this moment, because the physical form, while strong physiologically, also needs to be strong energetically. And energetically, the physical form can also suffer from periods of tiredness and can benefit from periods of gentle restoration. Does that help?
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Is there any further questions?
Yes. I would like to connect to my my guide.
Yes. Samir, we are seeing so much activity around you. You have been going really at a frenetic pace. That's because you are a generator of great momentum in your life and in the lives of people around you. You really are the commencement point for many people's energetic momentum in a lot of senses. Interaction with you can trigger in them some forward motion. It is a fantastic power and skill. However, we would also recommend that you reserve some energy for yourself while you are always connected to source and you are aware of that and you do draw on that frequently. When you are drawing so much energy through you, it is important to always reestablish that connection, perhaps much more than most people. Because you are drawing so much through you, you have to connect back to source energy as frequently as you can. We don't see that you are experiencing anything like a burnout. You are too effervescent for that. However, we do see that the need for you to balance the energy outgoings and the energy ingoings in your life is quite important. Does that help?
Yes, and a little bit about my health.
Yes, we are scanning your physical form. We can see in related to health that there is this driving energy of wanting to participate and do so many things that often means that you lean on your physiology or your physical body to come with you, to follow with you. And oftentimes you do ignore the signs that your body is trying to send you in terms of need for sleep, in terms of need for tuning into the vibration of the specific inputs that you are taking. And we would ask you to take a moment to center yourself to the experience of your adrenals, which are your energy centers physiologically speaking. This may mean to ensure that you stay hydrated, to perhaps even do small windows of fasting, just to get that clarity to help you to understand what your energy levels are on any given day and to slowly build your reserves in that way. There is no big obstacle or physical block that we can see in your structure. However, there is an adrenal fatigue. And this can be addressed through those primary inputs of clear breath, of clean water, of good sleep, and of high vibrational foodstuffs. Does this help?
Yes, and thank you so much for this great insight.
You are so welcome.
Anyone else would like to take a question? We are done right now over here, Zariyah. Thank you so much. Gratitude for you from my bottom of my heart, from everyone over here.
You are so welcome. We thank you for this interaction and we bid you good day. some reason my shoulders, I feel like they were. The more I was getting information, the more my shoulders were going up.
Oh,
It's really strange.
maybe it's
Oh,
from like
oh.
the weightlifting on my shoulder, like the at the gym.
Yeah. I just said